Today, we have a very interesting topic and a much awaited topic uh, inside the Fantasy League, the data science and sports tech with Dream11. And before I hand over this platform, so I would take a couple of minutes to introduce our today's guest. So today's guest is Mr. Ayush Chaudhary. So, Ayush, I really welcome you for this Tech Saturday webinar with Times Pro. It's a great privilege to have you with us. And just to give you a little bit more background about about Ayush Chaudhary. So, Ayush Chaudhary is a seasoned data scientist with a wealth of experience in the tech industry. Currently, Ayush is working as a senior machine learning data scientist at Dream11. So, Ayush leads the personalization team focusing on building scalable machine learning systems with a strong background in machine learning, engineering, and analytics. So Ayush has contributed significantly to the projects such as intelligence traffic routing and anomaly detection system at Dream11. So before his role at Dream11, Ayush served as a data scientist at Topper, where he led initiatives to implement lead scoring models and establish data infrastructure. His diverse experience also includes internship at Nokia, where he gained valuable insights into deep learning and telecom analytics. So Ayush holds a Bachelor of Technology in Chemical Engineering from Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati, where he actively participated in extracurricular activities. And through the lens of Dream11, in the today's session, we will be covering, there are three agendas typically we are majorly focusing on. First is day in the life of senior machine learning scientist and data science application in Dream11. Third one is challenges of infrastructure scaling the IPL. So whether you are a sports or a data scientific enthusiast or simply curious about the behind the scenes, what is happening inside the fantasy league. So this webinar is for you. It promises to be an enlightening journey you into a realm of data science in sports tech. So please join me in welcoming Ayush Chaudhary, our today's speaker on the topic inside the fantasy league in data science with Dream11. So Ayush, I welcome you for the session. It's great to
Thank
have
you.
you here.
Thank you so much, Ramlesh. That was like such an amazing introduction. I haven't heard about myself so beautifully in a while now. Thank,
Great to have you. I think
thank
we all are waiting for this. In fact, myself, I'm waiting for this particular topic from a very long time. So just when even IPL is going on, very curious to understand how exactly the entire infrastructure works. So it would be
you.
great if you can give us some more insightful thoughts. What is
Yeah,
happening behind the process.
definitely. Like, are we waiting for more people to join
Yeah,
or?
I think we can start. Anyway, it's 11, 3 people will be joining.
Okay. Cool. Uh, cool. Hello, everyone. I think I see about 8 people on the
Yes,
panel.
yes,
Uh,
yes.
yeah. So
It's
let's just keep this more informal. Like, please, like, help me out in the session. Send me questions. We can keep it more interactive that way. Don't feel free to, let's say, wait till the end for the questions, and like, we can stop midway and then probably have those question answered. If you have anything to ask in mid of the session. So yeah, thank you, Vimlesh. I mean, like, it's been an honor to be here with Times Pro and the Times Group. It's been like an honor for me that you have invited me as a guest for this panel. So about myself, like, I'm Ayush. I've been working for last like 5 years in like the field of data science and data analytics. I graduated from IIT Guwahati, and post that, like, I'd been like trying to fiddle my way across, like, okay, or like where my interest lies, and eventually like what, like, am I like earning enough as well, because it like you need to strike the balance between the two, right? So in short, like, when you talk about my own experience, I like building like large scale machine learning systems. I have expertise in like reinforcement learning, where we have like solved multiple problems addressing to using like RL and causal within the specific problem statements that we are working here at Dream11. In the last 4 years at Dream11, I would say my overall experience had been amazing. Like the growth that I've seen from like a company wherein I joined and like just post Corona, which was somewhere around like I think 2020. And I think post that the company has grown like amazing. I've been like a 4x, 5x growth for the company, and even I believe for me as well. So I think the best part that comes with growing with a startup is actually you get to like work on like more like you get the exposure, and then you get that ownership of driving things end to end. So I feel I got that opportunity, and then like I am actually like very grateful at the position that I am right now. So more or less, like I think that's about myself, and probably will delve into like what all things we're gonna cover for it today in the today's session. More or less, like setting the tone of this. I think it's gonna be one long hour. So I'll just set a tone of what's gonna happen, and like understand if it's gonna okay with everyone that is out there on the call. So more or less, like we're gonna talk about Dream11, what is fantasy gaming, and spend some time over there. Basically talk about how big it is in terms of scale, in terms of like the different challenges that eventually come up when you're trying to deal with like large scale data. And then we're gonna delve into more around like how the culture is there, what the like the tech team at Dream11 is, how big is the data science, data analytics team, what are the structures, get more into like the problem solving, like more of an overview around what all problems that we are solving here at Dream11 using data science. Probably the next thing that I think everyone is looking forward to is like how are the things in IPL? I think IPL is like a beast in itself. Probably will try and like spend some time over there around like how our workflow is eventually changed because of like such a big like event coming in. If we get time, then we can eventually talk about the challenges that we are facing as well in terms of like the say distributed large scale application that comes face to us. So like when we actually take a POC or a like problem to the eventual production system, so what kind of challenges do we face? So probably we can touch base a bit more on that. And then if we get time at the end, like in someone what wants to like get hired at data science team at Dream11, probably we'll talk more about like what are we looking like in them, and then I think probably get a sense of what's actually how happening out there in the industry, right? So yeah, I mean, like just hit me up or like type something out there if you have any questions. Um, and yeah, then we can continue. Like just like go into the chat, type like you feel like please help me feel that you are alive. Yeah, like I think Bhaskaran is saying Dream11 prediction. Okay, okay. Like I think you can cover that. Basically, hi, good morning, Vinod. Hi, Aman. Hi, hi. Yeah, yeah, we'll go ahead. Cool. Yeah, we are going to cover some like hey, how to win on Dream11. Yeah. I wish I had an answer to that, Pradeep. Like, um, it's more about, I don't know, we'll cover that when we go into like more about like how to create a team. And okay, Amol says, hi, also show some windows for career point in Dream11. Yeah, yeah, definitely we'll do that. Basically, you can talk about more around at least the data science, data side of the thing, which can eventually cover around data science, data analytics, and then you have like machine learning as well, right? And I'm sorry, data engineering, which is like the core of the hierarchy of data science needs when it comes to. So yeah, like Amol will I'll definitely keep in mind to cover that. Um, cool. I think we have any more questions or like we'll start. So basically I'll talk about Dream11, right? So I'll tell you like it's been about Dream11 has seen like an amazing growth journey in terms of like how like you know cricket, right? Like Indian like people like love cricket. So like I think our founder Harsh Chan, which eventually is a big fan of football himself. He started this company back in like the day like 2013 or so, and then I think post that, fantasy has been like really big, and he's built a product, an amazing product, wherein people are liking. So I give you a quick context about what Dream11 is for the people who don't know. It's more like you basically so there are different matches or different like sports events that are happening around the year, across days, across different demographics. So what Dream11 does is it organizes contest on top of the like it organizes fantasy on top of these matches, wherein people can like each one of the person can eventually get a chance to create their own team, participate in either a free or a paid contest, put in some money, and then get a chance to win like really big. So that's more about the philosophy that when you end up creating your own teams, you feel like more engaged with the match itself. So that's like the core, like I don't know like how many of you play fantasy at Dream11 or outside Dream11, or even like there's a lot of like fantasy has been there in the ecosystem from like way back now. I mean like you have EPL, right? Like I don't know like football fans out there. I'm a huge football fan. Like even in college, I used to play football, and like I used to be the part of the inter ID team. But that's what actually got me so interested working with Dream11, that like the culture over here, I would say like we have an amazing stadium. So we don't call our office, it's like a stadium. And we have like a track wherein like people tend to like walk around and like do meetings and all. Like the meeting rooms are also so fancy. You have like a Mumbai Indians meeting room, you have a Manchester United meeting room, and like the entire culture over there is like really sporty. And like I think so that like really got me excited working on. Oh, so that was the first thing, right? Like sports and data. So that connected with me like really well. And then when it comes to the actual scale, so like like would you know, just a guess, like how many people would play on Dream11, like, or even say registered at Dream11 for that matter? Like any numbers, guess? I actually posted on LinkedIn sometime back. I was realizing that about 200 million people have like registered on Dream11. Like it's like trying to like get a sense of around like how big of a number is this compared to the size of like, yeah, exactly. Like I mean like the kind of people, the scale that we are dealing over here right now eventually brings in a lot of like challenges which you are like which you won't face in a small startup, right? So I'll tell you like my journey before this was I was working with this edtech firm called Topper, wherein it was a small startup, and I was a part of the data team over there. I had to like eventually do so in small teams what happens is there's no a thin line drawn between, say, this is your job in terms of, let's say, if I talk about data, the core main three principles of data is, in a like the data science hierarchy of needs is you need to have a robust like data layer, like you need to have a good robust data lake house warehouse in which you can eventually store and save all of your data in the right format. Like you have QC'd it well, and then you have eventually the right best data platform practices in place, which more or less lies into the domain of data engineering, right? When you're writing ETLs, you're eventually pipelining all the scattered data which is present in like different data sources, so which is like the core of like one of the core part of the data team. So like back in the day there was no distinction between, let's say, if you have data engineering, then you have data analytics, which is basically drawing insights, doing experiments on top of the data that you have collected. And the third part becomes data science and machine learning, where eventually trying to build models, right? You're trying to build machine learning models to eventually predict what's going to happen in the future, or eventually like coming up with some decision making. So I think Amol said 100K. No, no, Amol. I think Vimlesh said 1.5 million plus. Okay, I mean, even that is wrong. So like Dream11 has about like 200 million registered users, and of them, like the concurrent users, basically, the number of users eventually come and play in a 5 minute window, goes to as high as like 15 million. So compared to a small team, which I was just referring to some time back, my previous org, the importance of each of these functions within the data team becomes really important, becomes really critical. So that's wherein like I had the chance to eventually go into the depth. So there's something called a T-shaped learning, which I eventually like as a framework, I always look forward to. So you have something called your breadth. So you know like small things about most of the things, and then you have your depth. So I eventually got really excited about like how these machine learning models are eventually trying to influence decision making. They're trying to they're basically driving such huge systems, so which really got me excited. Then I thought I'll bring in my depth and build my depth around this the machine learning and data science aspect of the things, right? So that's wherein I joined Dream11, and my journey over here had been like amazing. So recently, I got a chance to work on like the wide varied people across data analytics, across data engineering, and so you get to learn like different uh, even philosophies of how do you even say like store data, how do you even compute. So there are like multiple. So I think one of the key learnings for me was here is like the distributed computing. So when like I mean like people can say ki, okay, we can build machine learning models, we can do regression, all of that in like Excels, right? Like wherein you're trying to deal with like time series data, which is like less in dimension. Like over here, like what the challenges that eventually I was facing was there are like 300 plus features. So the dimensionality that you're now dealing with can't be dealt in Excel or like small scale databases. For that, you need distributed compute. For that, you need distributed training. So that is where like eventually I encountered Spark. So Spark eventually helped us like scale our machine learning workloads. So what do I mean by that? So imagine when you're trying to deal with like say 15 petabytes of data and you're trying to build models. So any aggregation query, any feature engineering that you try to run, like you won't be able to like do that. So that's like the biggest like hurdle that you will face when you're trying to move from like a small scale data set to let's say a large scale data set in companies like it's a Google, Microsoft, or like even like these startups like wherein the data scale is like huge, really huge, right? So I'll give you some perspective on what's happening within the data science team, or you want to get more into like analytics or engineering. I would like love to do that as well, but let's stick to data science as of now. Like I'll try to give you more perspective on say what's happening within like these data teams at this like company which is like $1 billion in valuations, and like what do you even expect as a say fresher, or if you're trying to look like a job out there. So like one thing that I talked about is scale. So the scale brings in a lot of these challenges. So we do look out for people who have like capabilities to eventually work on these distributed data workloads. So let me set some context, right? So over here at Dream11, we would have around like 30 odd member people team, which is like eventually like so when we call data scientist, right? Like let me just give some clarity on that as well, right? Like so it's company like Facebook, even an analytics person would eventually be called a data scientist. So it's like very like you need to be very cognizant to understand what's actually like what does the role entail to. So here at Dream11, we call our like engineers as machine learning scientists. So they do have the responsibility of eventually like defining their own problem set, working on like the feature engineering, iterating the models, trying out different complex models and whichever like fits the underlying data distribution. And then eventually when it comes to taking these models to production, right? So production, like when I talked about the scale aspect of the things, imagine say Facebook goes down for like a hour. The kind of impact which it gets to the board, like basically user impact is directly correlated to, let's say, the stock price of the company. People like eventually nobody likes downtime, right? Like when you are trying to book an Ola and you have to reach, like, let's say, your office on time and the app is down. So the criticality of uptime becomes really important when you're actually like dealing with large scale companies, right? Wherein any single, so I'll give you some perspective. In like Dream11, if the success rate of our payment transactions goes down for, let's say, 5 minutes, the overall impact on our top line is in crores. So we end up losing like crores of money just because of like that small downtime. So eventually the skill set that is required to do the entire, so there is the new field emerging. I don't know how many of people are aware about it. It's like majorly around MLOps. So MLOps, like I'm actually a part of this community called MLOps community. It's a global community wherein like people like come and talk about their own perspective around how do these abstraction exist, wherein you're trying to take a machine learning model that you have trained in offline setting, evaluate it, come up with the right metric, and then eventually you take that to production. So taking that to production eventually employs a lot of model iterations, getting to the right. So internally, I'll give you some perspective. Like we are using this tool called Databricks. So Databricks is nothing but like an ML platform. So I actually gave a talk with them about a couple of months back in Mumbai only, and we talked about like how do we face, or like, how do we scale our machine learning workloads. So like so where I was like going to over here is when I talk about, say, uh, machine learning scientist at Dream11, his day, how does it look like? I mean, like I can talk about myself as well, but where I was like eventually going to was that it doesn't only entails defining the problem statement, building models on them, doing feature engineering, getting to the right metric, but it also do entails like taking that model to production, ensuring like uptime, designing the right machine learning infrastructure. Because what ends up happening is slight different choices of data systems can eventually have huge dollar impact at a level wherein eventually dealing with scale. So it's not like you're going to have like millions of rupees spent if you're, let's say, using a low latency Redis database. So like basically the choice of your database design, your machine learning system design eventually is becomes really critical on how you're trying to like eventually take your models to production. So for that, there are like different skill set. There are like I'll recommend a couple of books as well if you want to connect with me offline. But that thing actually got me really excited around, like, imagine you're like trying to build systems which are like inferencing at like 5 millisecond latency. They have like throughputs of about like 10,000 plus. So and that too happening all in a distributed way, right? So that's like the thrill of eventually like working on large scale data sets that I think actually got me interested a lot. Okay, I think I get some perspective around what's happening within the Dream11. I think let's just get more, like slightly more understanding on what kind of problems that we're trying to address, and like what actually happens when IPLs come in, right? So IPL for us had been like okay, Amol has a question. For orchestration and monitoring, what is used? Since I'm from data engineering, I know about Airflow and NiFi. That's a really good question, Amol. So so within the scope of data science, we do have our own pipelines that we have to maintain. Majorly, these pipelines include like feature engineering pipelines, which we do eventually use like so there is a scheduler. Uh, scheduler for Jupyter notebooks called Paper Mill. This was eventually given as a paper by Netflix company. But we internally use the like schedule them on Databricks platform itself. They use like internally Paper Mill to eventually orchestrate these workflows. So as you said, you're from data engineering. We do have Airflow based like orchestration tool, and for monitoring we use Datadog. We have weights and biases, and I would say like at this company, like even at large scale, we tend to use like most of the tools that is out there to eventually see what's gonna like fit our use case best. But I hope that answers your question, right? So yeah, like even in the data engineering workflow, you do have like real-time data. For that, what you have built is like a streaming platform wherein like we use we used earlier we used to use like Spark structured streaming in order to deal with like streaming data. Now we have built our own internal in-house platform which is powered by Flink. So yeah, I mean, hope that gives some context. And then for visualization, we use OpenSearch and Kibana, which are like real-time dashboards to see. Because like what ends up happening is you need to have like real-time visibility of your data. So like okay. So yeah, I'll get to that question, Devanshu. So Amol, like we need to have the context of real-time data like a lot, because in 1 minute. So I'll give you another perspective. Before the match starts, like the around like more than half of our traffic comes to the app suddenly in the last 30 minutes window, right? It's not like e-commerce wherein like whenever I feel like and I'll go and buy products. It's more like the like entire distribution goes exponential. So the kind of like scaling of our system that is required has to be, you can't keep your system scaled all the time, because scaling eventually has a cost associated with it, right? Like the AWS, we have to pay like millions of dollars of bill in, which is the major cost for us at Dream11. So eventually having the right scaling technique. So concurrency is like the model that is eventually being powered by the data science team at Dream11. And that gives the prediction of, say, what should we scale our infrastructure to. So 30 minutes or like 1 hour before, so I think we have a couple of matches today, right? So at 3:30, before the match starts, 2 hours before, our model will say, okay, you need to eventually scale your system to this. The entire internal scaling service that we have maintained will like go and like scale all the infra, all the databases, all the services, all the microservices to eventually like serve, so that we don't have down times, right? Because like whenever a lot of people come onto the app, like everything fails. So we don't want to be in that state. So yeah, so that is one. I think Devanshu had a question around how do you re how often do you retrain your ML models? That's a really good question, Devanshu. So it actually depends on the kind of use case that you're trying to develop into. So um so I'll give you an example of the recent model that I worked on. That was around like intelligent traffic routing. So what ends up happening is, like at our scale, we had to take a decision to, say, route a payment transaction to a given underlying bank, because underlying banks have their own success rates. And say if one of the banks go down, eventually you have to reroute the transaction to an alternate payment service provider or a payment gateway for that matter. So this decision is more like very dynamic. Like basically the underlying distribution in itself is non-stationary. So you need like a ML model which can eventually do sequential decision making and can able to adapt to the underlying distribution change very fast. So like when it comes to, let's say, uh, a model like say churn prediction model, wherein you're trying to predict, okay, if Devanshu is going to not come tomorrow, so we need to eventually try and do something like send him a push notification, and then try and get him back onto the app. So all of those supervised distributions eventually don't change that rapidly, right? And training eventually has a cost associated with it. So when you're trying to deal with like billions of rows, like your model training eventually, so like just to like summarize where I'm coming to is it actually depends on, so there are some time series forecasting models which are like say trained and eventually deployed in like every half an hour or so, but they're like more stable models which eventually are say retrained like once we have actually like 1 year of extra data. So I guess hope that answers and gives some perspective, right? Cool, cool. um let's proceed. Yeah, it does. Thanks, bro. Thank you. Uh, yeah. So, I think it kept where we were. So we were talking about use cases, right? Concurrency is, I think, one of the biggest use case when I talked about wherein it helps us scale our data structure, which like help us scale our infrastructure. So there are other multiple. So when I talked about like the routing, it comes to like the underlying domain of payments, wherein we have been investing a lot. And like basically, when I talked about the underlying data distribution, right, it goes exponential. Though in the last 5 to 10 minutes, you're getting like huge traffic. So even within like a minute of downtime can actually lead to like crazy losses. So our payment systems need to be robust. They need to be relevant. They need to be so fluent wherein users aren't facing any issues in withdrawals and like verification of their bank accounts. So we have multiple recommendation and anomaly detection models in place wherein we try to recommend what's the right payment instrument for you. So we use like list-wise rankers over there to eventually predict what will be the most relevant instrument is going to be there for you. Then we have similar recommendation use cases within contests. So you would see like a for you section on your app wherein like the most favorite contest that you have played would be recommended to you on the top. So there's like more around recommendation systems. Then we have more use cases around time series forecasting, wherein let's say you have different like payment instruments that are eventually like have their own success rates, right? So you want to predict, okay, if that payment instrument is going to go down, so based on that understanding, you'll try to reorder your underlying payment instrument being served to the users. So that is one. And other use cases of time series forecasting is like eventually trying to predict. Like we have a amazing contest generation engine which eventually predicts, okay, what kind of contest do we need to put on our app such that we don't like uh, like basically users are able to get the best experience on the app. Then you have like rewards that have been given. Like I think like a team are working is working a lot on rewards to make people feel rewarded once they are on the app. We have dream runs, and then we have discount offers, we have deposit offers. So we do tend to work on the personalization aspect of the things. Uh, so yeah, I mean, like hope it gives some perspective on what all things that we are working on here at Dream11. And we also just like for a fact, we have invested a lot heavy in research. So we do work alongside professors as well, like based out of US. And like so we tied up with Columbia University recently. We've opened a research lab over there. So we, from a research standpoint, heavily invest into like reinforcement learning, causal inference. Basically, causal inference eventually helps you have segregate correlation from causation, wherein eventually what you're trying to decide and take action on is what's been observed in a real life, right? So that is one. And then you have simulation systems as like another core area. And then we have generative AI. So I don't know how many people have tried like an AI coach, which recently went live on the app. It kind of helps you predict like not predict, like it helps you guide through the journey of making a dream team at Dream11. So like I don't know, like I think you can talk like right in the chat if you have experienced that feature. But yeah, I mean that's like another use case of machine like generative AI here at Dream11. And then we have other use cases like text to SQL, insight generation, like and then and like a lot more is happening like from like that aspect. Like so if you have any like point in between where you want me to dig deeper into, get like give you more perspective, feel free to like pause me. And team planner, Pradeep I think has asked about team planner. So yeah, like team planner like helps you create your team. So it has like an underlying model in itself which tracks users, like the underlying player's performance on how he has been performing recently, how he has been playing across team, say like against like one team playing against other teams. So what is the context of other teams? It has like around I think like a lot more features which eventually helps you plan your team better. Like if you're trying to do like a batting heavy team or like a bowling heavy team eventually. Like, so I think more perspective around how do you create teams, right? So you have like even not only team planner, we have gurus. So we have like a guru marketplace. Eventually, you can pick guru teams. So like based on whatever guru is been performing, like so we have like even created like a skill score for gurus from which you can understand that okay, this guru is eventually giving like the best team that is out there. So I think there's like a lot more angle around the aspect of winning. I think I've been asked, and even I tend to okay. I think Devanshu has a question. What's the most important thing that you've learned about data science that you wouldn't have known in college? Okay, okay. I'll let me think about it. That's like um, I'll get back to that, Devanshu. So yeah, like talking about teams. So then basically you have some aspect of skill, right? When you talk about skill, so Dream11 is a game of skill. There was a research paper published by Professor Devraj Shah and Professor Vishal Misra. They worked alongside us, and they eventually did like in-depth research with the data points that we had, and then they were able to prove that like fantasy in like general is a game of skill. So where is the skill coming from? I mean, I actually have met like a lot of people. So we call the people who eventually win on Dream11 to our stadium to understand, okay, make them feel happy and like probably like get them to understand like so these are like very say people back in like from like remote villages of India. And then so I met a person who's eventually tracking all of his team creation strategy in like an Excel sheet where he maintains, say, we're gonna play on like a mega contest. We're gonna put like 5, 6 teams. So each team has its own story around. Okay, if let's say the bowling team members perform really well, then the batters in the first playing shouldn't pick them because they're gonna get less fantasy points. Similarly, you need to pick the opposition's batters. Like basically, every team has a story associated with it. And then like I could really appreciate like the entire data driven like analysis that that guy had done. He had won like a couple of crores on Dream11, and like he was persistent, like he was resilient, like he had been playing with Dream11 since like a really long time, or like a couple of years or so. I was like really impressed with that guy. Like, I mean, bro, like, what are you even doing? Like, what is the strategy? It's like you're winning every time. So yeah, I mean, like, team creation is like the core aspect of Dream11, wherein like one of the applications of data sciences help you create team like more faster, more better, right? Um, so yeah, I think that might give some perspective around at least what's happening in terms at Dream11. Yeah, yeah. Let me know if you wanna like go deeper into any of these use cases, or do you have anything else in your mind? let's like I think I'll jump to a question there. That thing. So we have Devanshu. What's the most important thing that you have learned about data science? Interesting question. So I'll tell you, like my journey to data science had actually been from data analytics. So I was an analyst, like I had that analyst mindset. I didn't come from engineering where like you're designing softwares, and my mind was really analytical about things, wherein what motivated me was like, so I tend to do a lot of operational work, wherein so I didn't like creating dashboards like at all. But what I did enjoy was creating systems which can automate me. So basically the life cycle of a average, so according to Andrew Yang, the life cycle of a data science project is almost like 6 months, the average life cycle. While in analytics, the I think our sprint planning used to happen every week or so. So it should like it didn't get me excited as an individual, right? Like I had to deal with a lot of stakeholders across product, across engineering, which was like I think one of my strong skill set, but I wasn't feeling excited about it. Like I would do it, but I don't know. So the most important thing that I think I learned about data science was actually being persistent, because models are not built in like days or like weeks. Like in my current setting, like working like almost about 4 years here at Dream11, I would have machine learning models which have seen like around 3 years like of production. So as you get like, so machine learning models are built with feedback, right? You try to automate, let's say, a human in the loop process. You're not trying to build like something more at a system level. So the way you think eventually change when you're trying to build a system, when you're trying to, so there in a lot of like small things like monitoring, a lot of some small things like something like ethical biases comes into play, right? You don't want your model to eventually like favor some, let's say, like some specific group of people. I mean, you want it to be fair. So that, you see where I'm coming from, right? So this entire perspective change that at least I had gone through while I transitioned from like an analytics role into machine learning role. So yeah, that's like the most important thing that I had learned. Uh, so hope that answers your question. Yeah. Cool. I think we only have 15 minutes. I would love to pick up more questions, but I'll still continue while uh, uh, like, just Bhaskar and like put it down in the chat, and like I'll take that up. Yeah. Cool. I'll proceed. So the last thing that I think let me give some stress upon is about, let's say, uh, what are we trying to look for if someone is trying to get hired at Dream11, right? So there are skill sets. There are skill sets that you need to double down upon. So having worked in a small scale startup versus having worked in like a huge big scale startup like Dream11, the kind of skill sets that are required are becomes really domain specific. So that is one. So we do hire like experts in reinforcement learning for that matter, right? So even though you're the best at the guy, like basically, I would suggest try and figure out what your T of your depth is. So like T-shaped learning, right? You know everything about like you are jack of all trades in that matter, but if like if you want to talk about one thing that you're so good at, you can talk hours and hours and hours on it, right? So that should be like the depth that you want to eventually build upon. So try and figure that what's going to be that depth for you. So so yeah, I think I was talking about the roles, right? Like, so we have different roles that we hire for. One within analytics, it's more like a product and analytical experimentation, A/B testing driven, wherein the core job is to eventually like drive and analyze and basically help prioritize roadmaps for the product teams. So that is more around analytics. Then you have data engineering. Then you have data science, in which we have like a couple of roles. One is around decision sciences, which deals more like around the macro models, trying to predict things that will help us more in our decision making. Within machine learning, we have like specific roles of machine learning scientists, and we are hiring like for leads role as well. If you're interested, please DM me on LinkedIn. I think you can search and you can find me out over there. Or even if you have any question you wanna connect one on one, I'm happy to answer them outside this session as well. Uh, so yeah, I mean, like from a perspective of like what's required, you need to have like skill set of at least some distributed data training. So you need to know Spark, you need to know how to host your own APIs, you need to have some experience in Kubernetes, like creating your own like engineering experience, right? So that is required, and then a lot more statistical and machine learning rigor. So if we want to talk about three core principles, you have like your machine learning aspect of the things, wherein you you can like pick any of the good, like say Andrew Ang's course on Python, the recent one, can help you understand, okay, what are different paradigms of learning. You have supervised learning, unsupervised learning, you have reinforcement learning. And then the second paradigm is around statistics, right? You need to know what experimentation is, because in the current like set of companies, experimentation is like the key core component, right? So in order to succeed, you need to experiment. In the experimentation, so there was this one of this research paper by Harvard, wherein which it claimed that the more faster you're able to experiment, the faster you're able to converge to your like success metric, like the goal that you have eventually planned out for yourself. So like that statistical rigor in experimentation becomes like really important. Like I can't stress more like about like experimentation. I'm telling you, like you need like proper like so imagine, I'll give you some perspective. Dream11, we run like thousands of experiment in a month. So like you got a perspective, right? The better you experiment, the faster you reach to your goal. So so we have an internal experimentation platform which helps us set up experiments, analyze them, and report the results faster. So it's more like enabling us to so I think requirement of platform eventually comes in wherein like there's actually a use case around multiple things happening across like in a scattered way, and then you're trying to build like one stop solution to eventually cater to all of those problems. So we have like multiple I would say platforms that you're eventually, say if you're interested to read about it. There's a lot of work being done across like say federated learning, basically edge based like inference, wherein we eventually ship our machine learning models to the user devices, and then which helps us like in reduction in the latency. So we have like less than like 5 millisecond latency to so basically the even the feedback that the user like refreshes, we are able to update it recommendation on the fly, because we have shipped our machine learning model to the user devices. So which is like one field, if you're like interested around like edge based machine learning. Then you have learning paradigm called federated learning. Then a lot more of work that I would say we've gone into research, wherein we tend to work like alongside professors, alongside like research scientists, which help us figure the core problem that we're trying to address, which might be like slightly orthogonal to where the business is leading into. But then eventually you're trying to build like so I think I would suggest like people who's out there probably working in either companies or colleges, like do talk to people out there in the academia. So recently, I think last year around December, I got to present my work on like in the ML systems conference back in Bangalore. So I tend to, I got an opportunity to meet with these amazing minds, like people from ISC, people from amazing universities from Harvard, from Carnegie Mellon, from UCSD, who eventually come and present their work. So get a chance to network, get a chance to understand what all problems are they facing on, and eventually it opens the door for you to collaborate. So whatever you're trying to eventually, like whatever's being manifested inside, like basically be your thinking in your head, you, even if you put enough time and if you have the right direction, you can actually manifest that in real life. So I manifested that eventually. Like I wanted to publish, I wanted to go attend these conferences, and like so I put all of my efforts. I like I tend to learn a lot from my professor, like understand, okay, how does even the academia works, and how does this collaboration of industry academia happens, which eventually lead to so much innovation which is coming out there, right? So I mean, yeah, like I think gives some perspective around what's happening out there. And yeah, I think let me take more questions. We have, uh, okay, Aman says, what's according to you one aspect to keep in mind while building ML model? So Aman, I think while building ML model, I would say like there are you can easily get swayed by the kind of model. So what people do is people have this philosophy of, oh, this model might work, that model might work, a deep learning model might work. But they throw models are the problem, which is never the right way to go about building models, right? So coming from an analyst philosophy, the best model is like starts from like I'll give you some quick perspective. So personalization eventually starts from like a cohort level personalization, wherein you have like case when statements to eventually personalize something for a user. Then you come to like a user level personalization where you have these machine learning models comes into play. So there is a lot of I would say feature engineering, understanding what feature eventually causes that impact on your like target variable becomes critically important. So try and understand what the underlying data distribution is first, come up with the features in your head, and a lot more work should be gone into identifying what problem are you trying to address, creating the right target variable for it. So I would still suggest, like, I think 80% of building models is all about the right problem setting, the right feature engineering, that right um, like ML problem formulation comes way later in the journey, right? Wherein trying to like iterate on model, do hyperparameter tuning, taking those model to production, all of that like comes like really secondary. So hope that gives some perspective, Aman. Yeah. Cool. So I think we have last 5 minutes. Vimlesh, do you want to add something? Okay, Rahul has a question. Great to hear you. Just a quick check. People who are at mid management level where they don't need to do some system coding, okay, and other stuff, but manage the team of people who are into data analysis, data science, or the most important area that you suggest to focus on the career. Okay, interesting. So I'll give you some perspective. I've been talking to a lot of people because even I'm at that stage wherein I've been facing crossroads wherein should I go towards a managerial role or should I go towards a IC role? So it's like IC versus EM. EM is like an engineering manager. IC is like an individual contributor. So Rahul, it actually depends on what kind of person that you are. If you like talking to people, helping them unblock their roadmap, helping them understand, okay, so like it requires a lot of stakeholder management, right? So like stakeholders can actually be across different teams, not only your team, but also product teams, analytics teams, engineering teams. So your job becomes a lot more to unblock your team and then like creating roadmaps for them. Like, but when it comes to actually like um, uh, like an IC individual contributor role, what I feel is like it becomes more technically oriented wherein you need to have the skill set of like an horizontal skill set of how to say scale models for the matter, right? How to have the right engineering practices in place. So all of that comes with like more rigor, the best coding practices. And if you are a person who enjoy his own time by your mind space and like talking to a lot of people, I would suggest like go to the IC route, which personally I'm also lining towards. But yeah, I mean, happy to like have a follow-up question on that if that answers. Yeah. Amol says, can we visit Dream11 Mumbai? Yeah, yeah, bro, welcome. Come visit. Like, there's no stress. I mean, you can come visit our office and see what's happening. And yeah, cool, cool. I think that's it for me. If we have any more questions, I would love to take them. And I think Vimlesh, if you have any questions, I would love to take them. Uh,
So basically, I also, I'm a very active participants of Dream11. So my quick question was, so is there any specific strategy, we have to follow a certain set of pattern with the help of, ChatGPT or, generative AI to do a good team or to make a good prediction out of it? Is there any strategy on those lines?
Okay, Vimlesh, like I think if like I think it's more like an individual thing. I do also play internally with my teammates, and you have a lot of gurus who eventually say, ki, okay, take my team because I eventually have some data-driven hypothesis, right? So um I don't know. I think throwing model like generative AI or reinforcement learning, all of these to these modeling problems is just faff. What I believe, it's actually had to have to do with a lot more of. So I'll give you some perspective, right? So let's say if you're trying to play a small team contest, like a small member contest, you can try and capture like most of the points that are out there. So you go with the philosophy of picking up stable players. If you're trying to play in a mega contest, we're trying to get to the top.
Mhm.
That's in you need to put like a lot of teams in which your story need to set straight. Basically, like the story that I was trying to explain, ki you have a batting heavy team, you have a bowling heavy team, or like one of you have like the pitches like has the spin. So eventually you need to pick spinners more. And like if let's say Bumrah comes and bowls out everyone, you don't have to pick the batsman. You have to pick so that's like there is every story and whatever story that you feel, I mean, it can work. I'm like so where eventually I'm trying to come out here from there are like team planner. One of the person actually asked for team planner. It's like a machine learning model which gives you a team, but there's no like surety around like okay this is going to do or like I think it's more uh, like it is predictable like but then it is predictable to some level. There is some angle of the contest that you play as well. So if you're trying to join a multi-team contest, try and put more of your teams, which I feel is my strategy. Like I have more spots or like my probability to win a multi-team contest would be high because others would be joining with a single team. I don't know. Like everyone has their own thing which works out for
Wow,
themselves, and yeah,
great,
I
great.
hope that answers.
Yes, yes, definitely. Great. Again, thank you for the wonderful explanation. And I would like to take just 5 minutes here regarding this one of the program what we have here. As a Times Flow, we are an tech company. We offer a certification program. I would like to just give you a little bit of for our audience, a little bit of background about a certification program, machine learning and deep learning offered by IIT Delhi. And basically, this is a 6-month program designed to equip learners with the skills and insight needed to navigate the dynamic landscape of ML and DL, basically machine learning and deep learning. It covers essential program with Python and introduction of into data analytics, applied mathematics, and code models and application of machine learning and deep learning in various domains. With the expert of IIT Delhi faculty, industry experts, industry leading tools like NumPy, Skitlearn, TensorFlow, etc. project This program ensures that you get in-depth understanding of machine learning and deep learning techniques and their application solving real-world business problem. And this program will also give you opportunity of one-day campus immersion at IIT Delhi campus, where you get to meet your peers and faculty and industry expert and also network along with them. And with the industry recognized e-certificate is issued by IIT Delhi on successful completing the program. And also you can prove your expertise in dynamic field. And the program is also provides career service to enhance job prospects after completion of the certification program. So I'm just gonna post this link in the chat in case if somebody is interested, you can just visit or anybody can put a request. Our team will get in touch with the people. So yes, and to come up and to come back to session, I think it was a really great session, Ayush. I think you explained really well what is happening in the Dream11, behind the infrastructure and regarding the scaling of the team, and you also touched point on the career point also. If somebody wants to get into Dream11, so what are the skill set required? I think you have covered most of the points, and it was a
And
really,
thank you so much, Kamlesh. That
it was really wonderful session, and I was pretty much got to know like what exactly happens in backend. So in this so long I was having a lot of thoughts like what is happening, how do we select the team, and what are the strategy need to be employed. I think a lot of my doubts has been answered. So it was a great session, and I would like to thank you for making out your time and coming down as a
thank you
guest
so
lecturer.
much for
It
having
was
me.
a great pleasure having you here, Ayush. And also, I would like to thank all of our audience who had taken out their time on Saturday morning and they have joined. I hope this was an insightful session. And if you have learned anything from this session, kindly drop a note on the chat so that we get to know that you have learned something out of this session. And 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 really, we look forward in the next session. And I hope we can bring back Ayush once again with a different topic. And till that, I would like to say once again, thank you all of you for taking out your time. And also, Ayush, thank you so much for your time and for this wonderful session.
Sure. Thank you, Kamlesh. Thanks you. Bye. Bye, everyone. Have a good day.